This is Freckledhan, and you're listening to Rantish, a weekly podcast where we rant about anything from the funny to the infuriating. Come for the rants, stay for the company, because even if you disagree, you always belong. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to come down so ready to record a podcast. I've been thinking about it all day. I've been thinking about it all week. And then my technology just breaks down on me right before I'm supposed to record. And this happens more often than I would like to admit, to the frequency where I have genuinely asked the question, is the podcast cursed? And even scarier of a question, am I bad with technology? Because I am starting to worry that I'm actually just really bad at technology. And that pains me as someone who genuinely loves technology and loves learning new tech and getting new tech. I am actually concerned for my ability to use technology. I think it's a little bit tricky too, because I'm trying not to spend more money. Wow, we could really go down this train for a minute. Because I don't even know where to start with this one. I posted a reel about this a few months ago about how much money I've put into trying to make a business of this. And I know I've probably mentioned it on the podcast before, okay, guys, we're on a mission. We're turning this passion project into a business. But I think on the topic of vulnerability, I think the amount of money that if people knew how much time and money I've really put into this endeavor, it's actually embarrassing. I say that kind of jokingly, but also dead serious. And I was thinking about this week because I feel like there have been multiple times in the past where I've invested in something, whether that be a new piece of equipment, whether that be a coach, whether that be childcare, whether that be, whatever it is. And I tell myself okay, if if this doesn't work, then I'm not allowed to spend any more money. I'm cutting myself off. And then the next thing comes along that is just going to be the thing that gets me to where I want to go. And it's going to make this, take off, blah, blah, blah. And so I justify it again. Bless Steven's heart. He has been so supportive the whole way. And it's really tricky because at this point I'm I know that I'm not giving up. I can't give up at this point. I am so committed to the platform, the podcast, this, all of the things, the channels, that I know that I'm going to keep going, but I am genuinely concerned that at some point it is going to be to the major detriment of my family, because we don't have the cushion that we used to have that I could just put towards my passion project, right? If you don't already know, I've mentioned this before, but Steven started his own business at the beginning of 2025. And so we have been, for the entirety of 2025, we've been living off of savings, which we are obviously very fortunate and blessed to have been able to do that. But let's just say the savings account is not looking as cushy as it once did. Okay. And yet I am still determined to make this work, and I keep buying new things. And it's so hard too, because on the one hand, it's no, I just have to make it work with what I have. On the other hand, my time is obviously pulled in a lot of different directions. And so when I come across something or someone who feels like they are going to help me manage my time better or use my time better or just make my systems more efficient, whether that be a subscription or equipment, or obviously I hired a virtual assistant, right? Shout out Audrey. I can't say no to those things because they feel like they're going to make so much more of my time, which a lot of times they do. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just you hear those stories of the entrepreneurs who just can't give up their dream, even though their family is genuinely suffering. And I had to come to face that this week of like, at what point is that me? At what point am I that person? And I don't actually know the answer to that, but I'm hoping that things will just pick up before we get there. December was actually my best month ever. I had a couple of brand deals, which was really exciting. And so I was going into the new year feeling very optimistic and like, okay, this is maybe going to work. Like, we got this. January has not been quite so fruitful, shall we say. There have been a few brands who have responded and then kind of not responded again. So I'm not really sure where we stand. The month is not over though. I'm not counting it out yet. Just got to keep it on. I know that. But it is so hard too, because literally last night we were invited to dinner at a extended family's house, and there was someone there who I'd never met, but he was also extended family. And I think he said he started posting content 100 days ago, and he just signed so he's blowing up. He's blowing up on all the platforms, doing all the things. He got 75 million views last month alone. Okay, let's rewind. He's been at this for 3 months, okay? He got 75 million views last month, and he signed a $13,000 contract for one company for either, I believe it was like maybe 1 to 3 posts. $13,000 for 3 posts. And so when I hear stories like that, and that's the thing, obviously this kid, I don't really know him super well, so I was just taking him at his word. But like, I know other people who do social media and they are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I know of somebody, so it's like a little bit of a distant, but I have it on good authority, of an influencer who made $120,000 in the month of November alone. So that's the other thing that is so hard too. And I know it's like, it's not about the money, which it's not. It's obviously not about the money, but it is about not running out of money. And it's just about, it comes back to this thing of like, when you know the possibilities, it's hard to give up. I don't want to give up for like lots of reasons, but when I hear stories like that, it's like, yeah, what is another $500 investment? Because if and when this works, it won't be a problem. Like, it will be fine. I'll be able to, all of the expenses I've done thus far in the last 5 years of pursuing this very actively, like investing money monthly very actively for 6 years, I guess, because it was 2020 that I started. I know all of that money could be recouped within a few months, within a year for sure, but within a few months, once I've like gotten some traction. And so it's really tricky, but then it's hard too. These are just the thoughts that go through my head all day, in case you're wondering. Then it's tricky too, because it's like, well, I don't want to also believe this idea that I have to have this massive audience in order to make money, because I know that's not true either. However, it is a little bit easier, but then it comes back to the issue of like, okay, but if I have this massive audience and they're not engaging with what I'm posting on social media, then what is it? Like, that isn't really helping me. So I have been in a little bit of a spiral, you could say, the last little bit. I think it does largely have to do with hiring a personal assistant, which I am not regretting that decision at all. It's been amazing. Again, Audrey, if you're listening, you're the best. And I know that it is one of those things where like, it's going to help me in the long term, 100%. But I have had this like unparalleled sense of urgency, because I am now telling someone else that I'm going to pay them. And currently I am paying her from our savings, which, like I mentioned, is not what it once was. And so I have kind of been grinding myself into is that the word? Grinding myself into the dust? I don't know. I've been burning the candle at both ends. That's not good enough. What's a better one? I've been in over my head. Okay. I have been so desperate to make something work. This is embarrassing. Talk about vulnerability. My screen time, I got the new phone. Again, that was an investment in my business because I could not post videos when I did not have storage on my phone and the camera was not that great. And, there's all these reasons, right? My phone was so slow, blah, blah, blah. Thankfully, phones you can pay off monthly over time. So it was easier to justify. Also, my friend Courtney, shout out. She was like, I think of myself as the family memory keeper. And so always having the latest iPhone is a part of being a good documenter for my family history or something. And I was like, sold. I like your logic. Anyway, dang it, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah. So my new phone, maybe old phones do this too, but mine wasn't set up this way. It tracks my screen time between my computer and my phone. So when it was telling me, when it came up yesterday morning and it was like, this is how many hours you've spent on average, it was using both my phone and my 17 hours, you guys. 17 hours a day was my average for last week. Yes, I was working on content up until 12:30, 1 a.m. I was waking up at 5:30, 5:45 and working on content before I went to the gym. I was like, it was not sustainable. I'm not saying I would recommend it. And it's really honestly made me, over the weekend, I was like, okay, this needs to be reevaluated because even though I love what I'm doing, I genuinely do. And I think if you saw my rant on stories about like, engage with my freaking content, that's where it was coming from. It was coming from a place of complete and utter exhaustion of like, I'm trying to think of that phrase again, grinding myself into the dirt. Is that a phrase? I don't actually know. Whatever. You get the visual. To make content for these people who literally cannot take less than half of a second and 2 clicks of their finger to go engage with it. And that was feeling pretty dang demoralizing after I'd spent, it said specifically on content editing alone, I think I spent 25 hours last week just on editing content. And then there was the responding to emails and like looking at blog posts and doing the other, I can't even remember now what else I did. There were a few other things that I did that weren't like specific content stuff, that, was adding up to that 17 hours. Obviously there was some scrolling in there too. Let's be real. I would say probably I scroll for like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, which is probably embarrassing to admit, but you know what? I think that's not like crazy uncommon, but I do, the rest of the time truly was like trying to be doing business, like trying to build this thing, So needless to say, I am trying to figure out a new way to not be so frantic and also be able to find a way to pay Audrey. Not sure what that looks like yet. Well, first of all, what I have implemented is I'm locking myself out of my social media apps pretty frequently. I'm telling you this so that I will hopefully stick to it because remember, I'm an obliger, so people need to know that I'm doing these things. I need them to expect me to do these things. I'm locking myself out of my social media apps for chunks of time. And this is my newest thing that I actually am kind of loving. When I get back from the gym, once the kids are off at school and I've had breakfast and all that, I will come down to my little walking pad and I will respond to DMs and comments and edit reels for an hour while I'm walking. I've only done it 3 times now. So I can't say it's a habit quite yet, but it has been really awesome because I've been wanting to walk more. And then it's perfect because I'm like, okay, I am on my phone on these social media apps. However, I am also walking and I'm also like doing things. So it was a little sketchy. I'm not going to lie. That first day editing while walking on the walking pad, I did almost fall off more than one time, but I didn't. I almost fell off again today, but I think that was because Oakley like climbed on the walking pad while I was in the middle of walking and it scared the heck out of me or something. Oh no, he was playing with a ball, which that's a little tricky because one of my friends, her son's finger like almost fell off. Sorry, that's really graphic. There was no trigger warning, but his finger got caught in their treadmill and like almost was gone. And so I'm pretty terrified of tiny fingers around treadmills. Granted, this is not an intense treadmill. It's like a very, very cheap walking pad that actually came with our house. So that was lucky. The previous owners just left it. Anyway, he had a ball and his ball got too close to the walking pad and it literally went through the walking pad and was making the craziest sound. And I almost fell off because it was so startling. Oh, anyway, we're figuring that out. And the other thing that I'm really wanting to be more intentional with is just like because I have not been great about connecting with God and like involving God in my business. And I really am going to try to be better about that because I truly believe that God can take my time and consecrate it like tenfold so that I can be putting much less time into something, but yet it can be serving me infinitely better when I have a little more spiritual guidance than me just being frantic and throwing up everything. Literally, not really, but you know, it felt like that in some ways because I was just like trying to get it out as fast as possible. And it was messy. That was a pretty good analogy, although it was unintentional. Speaking of God, I gave a talk in church on Sunday, and that also attributed to the reason why my screen time was so high because I was like working on my talk. But I very intentionally did not use the words Heavenly Father or Satan in my talk. I used God, Heavenly Parents, and fear, because those are the things that I believe in. I mean, obviously I believe in Heavenly Father, but I believe in God as a unit. I've talked about this before. And anyways, that was not here nor there, but I just thought it was maybe an interesting tidbit for you because those are the things that I think about. Oh yeah, I was going to say too, Okay, let me go back for a second about the tech stuff. So I am trying to do it with stuff that I already have or stuff that I was able to get secondhand for a reasonable price. And this includes like my computer, my microphones, what is this thing called? Rodecaster, all the things. So after my last podcast, my memory card corrupted, which was a whole thing. Thankfully, I was still able to make it work, although it was a little touch and go there for a second. And my computer, which I love, I was able to get my friend Brandy hooked me up. Shout out Brandy. She's amazing. And I love my computer so much. And it's like, it's been not having problems. Oh, it can't hold a charge. That's the biggest thing. It can't hold a charge. So, and my file sizes are so big because I use my camera. That's my former photographer, videographer camera to record the podcasts. So the gigs to record a single episode are like, it's usually like between 50 and 60 gigs worth of video that I then have to put onto my computer, and then I line up the audio with the other memory card. And I just had a panic attack that I was not recording, but I am. Whew, okay, that was scary for a second. Anyway, I have to line up the audio and then export it and do all the stuff. So I have to have my external hard drive plugged into my computer, which has recently started overheating. And then, like I said, my memory card, when I went to put it in the card reader, it literally like broke into two pieces, but I was able to push them back together. So I thought it was fine. But then when I tried to record it on it again, it said that it was write only. So I couldn't, read only, I couldn't write onto the card anymore. And so I'm laughing because I'm like, am I really bad at technology, or am I just trying to do this with technology that is failing me? But either way, I just have to push through it because I don't really want to buy more technology right now until I've at least been making enough money to pay my assistant. It's been a whole thing. But nevertheless, she persisted. I am here. This is going to happen. It's going to be great. The other thing, though, that I've been thinking about with, especially this guy that I talked to last night who was like, oh, yeah, I don't even think it's been 100 days. I think it's been like 80 something days, maybe, since he started. And he's making more than $13,000 a month. Happy for him. I genuinely, I know that sounded sarcastic, but I genuinely am happy for him because it is like, okay, this is a real business. Like, this is really a thing. And so if he can do it as I don't even know how old he is, like 19-year-old kid, like, I can figure this out. But then then this doubt comes into my mind that's like, okay, but you've been trying to figure this out for 6 years and you still haven't. So like, what makes you think anything's going to change going forward? To which I say, I don't know, except for that hopefully God's going to help me out. I don't know. But also I could have said that 6 years ago. Anyway, I saw this post about this, that this girl did. She was basically saying like, I've grown my audience from, I don't know, 5,000 to 500,000 in the last year and a half. People are always asking me for like the best tips. And so she had my interest piqued, right? It was a good hook. And she said, everyone's always looking for like better content or better hooks or whatever. She was like, the thing that is the most important is figuring out, how did she phrase it? She had a really good way of phrasing it, but basically it was like, you have to be comfortable being seen. In order to grow, you have to be comfortable on like a very, very deep level of being seen. And so she said, like, most of the people who can't grow on social media, it's because they are afraid of being seen. And that was really interesting to me because I don't disagree with what she said. It does seem really interesting how some accounts just seem to like literally blow up. I mean, they don't seem to, they actually do blow up overnight. Another person I follow, one of her reels popped up on my thing. She went from 5,000 to 150,000 followers in literally a week, you know? And again, it's not all about followers. And that's what I keep reminding myself too, because I don't really just want followers for the sake of followers. Like I genuinely want people who are engaged and like care about everything that I'm trying to do, you know? Anyway, I have been asking myself that question, like, am I afraid of being seen? And my instinct is to say no, because I've been doing this for so long. Have I said that enough times yet? Have I mentioned that enough? There's a trend right now that is posting pictures from 2016. And so I went back on my previous account to see what I was posting in 2016. And that was kind of like when I first started trying to make a thing of this. I hadn't really put a lot of resources into it yet, mostly time, but that was the year Steven graduated from college. We moved first we lived with my aunt and uncle for a few months, and then we moved into our own apartment. And I was really freaking lonely and really freaking bored. And so that's when I was like, this is fun. I like making content. People can make money from this. I want to do this. And so it's kind of crazy to think that it's been 10 years. And so on the one hand, I'm like, how could I possibly be afraid of being seen if I've been doing this for so long and I've been continually putting myself out there for so long? On the other hand, I'm like, well, maybe I am still subconsciously holding myself back because of this fear. I mean, for sure, I don't love when people put mean comments on my stuff. That hasn't happened in a while, surprisingly. But even when it does happen, it's like, it's a bummer and I don't like it, but it's not enough to like make me stop. I guess I did actually get bullied off of TikTok for like a month when my reel about the baths went viral over there. That was not fun. Backstory. I posted about how I don't think kids need to have a bath every day, and it did not go over well. Anyway, I was getting lots of people telling me that they were going to call CPS on me and all that stuff. But even though I didn't like it, I was still able to logically be like, I mean, it was very much a practice in nervous system regulation, because even though logically I knew that there was no fear of CPS taking my children away because of the fact that I don't give them a bath every day, it still very much felt like an attack to my physical body, even though mentally I knew that it wasn't real, or like both that it wasn't real and also that it wasn't valid. It still was really hard to process through, but I was like, okay, I did it though. I did it. And I remember even thinking at the time, like, okay, this was uncomfortable. I didn't like it, but I proved to myself that I can handle it. Like I can do this. Therefore I'm good to keep going. So I don't know. And I don't know how to find out if that is the problem. Maybe go to therapy. I'll have to circle back on that one, 'cause I don't really know. As you know, this is coming out on a Tuesday, even though the last episode I said I was going to start having these come out on Mondays. I have rethought that decision, and I will explain to you why. Because especially for solo podcasts, I'm kind of just like ranting about my week, the current things that are happening and that are on my mind and in my thoughts. And if the episodes came out on Monday, then it would make the most sense to record them on Friday. But my kids have a short day on Friday. And so it would be really hard to record, because the best time to record during the day is while Oakley's napping or at night once they're in bed. But I don't want to do that every Friday night. That feels pretty lame, even for me. And since the other kids get out at 1:00 on Friday, then they're home during Oakley's nap. And so anyway, the point is that I wouldn't be able to release the episodes until Monday, and they would be recorded Friday. And I just feel like it wouldn't be as relevant anymore, even though I know that seems probably really silly. I live in the world of 24 hours and your content is dead. All to say, I think it makes more sense to be able to record the podcast on Monday and then put them out on Tuesday. So that is going to be the goal for the foreseeable future until I decide that that's also not working for some reason. But I'm feeling good about that for now. I got my new phone. I mentioned that. And I have a few rants to share about that. First of all, I was so paranoid that I was going to miss the delivery person. If you remember, I had put a note on my door. I was listening for them. I was camped out by the front door waiting for them to arrive. I see the UPS truck pull up, and by the time I get up to go to the door, the guy's already left, and they just left it on the porch, which I'm just a little bit surprised by that, considering this is not a cheap item. I thought that you had to sign for stuff. Is that not a thing anymore? I did have to sign for something recently though that was really random and not even very expensive. Sorry if my voice cut out. I'm kind of rearranging. So I was quite shocked that he just dropped it off by the porch and was on his merry way. Thankfully, I was there immediately to retrieve it. And thankfully, my neighborhood is not one that I worry too much about things being stolen, but I was pretty shocked. The thing though, the main rant that I have is really just, I am an Apple enthusiast through and through, which is kind of annoying because I am so bothered by the way that the company does so many things, but yet I can never fathom a world in which I would change from Apple. And I do like their stuff for sure. I did see a post somebody reposted yesterday about, or maybe that was today, I don't remember, but it was about why Androids, this girl switched from an Android to an Android from an Apple, and she was just it's changed my life, it's the best thing ever, I'll never ever go back. Famous last words, because I do know a few people who have gone back, so we shall see. I don't know this person, so I probably won't see, but what was I saying? I really like Apple products, but I just get really bugged by things that they do. Namely, this phone, it's over $1,000 phone, right? We're paying for it over however many months, right? Just add it onto the monthly bill. I think it is absolutely absurd that price point of a product doesn't even come with a way to charge it without purchasing another product. The fact that they do not include the little wall plug part, they include the cord, but they actually don't include anything for you to plug the cord into, is bananas. I know that this was an outrage when they first stopped. I don't know what that thing is called. Steven and I call them a brick, but I don't actually think that's what it's called. Maybe that is, I don't know. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. The thing that plugs into the outlet. They stopped selling those with phones. And that is just, I just cannot fathom that. I mean, even Steven's watch, his Apple Watch came with one of those, and it was much less expensive than the phone. So, which actually was really lucky that it came with that, because since the new phone, it has a new port than the previous phone that we had. I actually did not have the brick thing that would plug into the cord they gave me. Anyway, I know it was a lot of outrage, but it seems like people have kind of gotten over it and they're just used to it. Let's not get used to that. Let's revolt. I Apple doesn't care. We could all write them a letter and tell them that they're the worst and they wouldn't care. And the thing is I would still buying their product. And that's what bothers me about myself, is that as mad as this makes me, I can't quit. I am a cult member towards Apple, even though I disagree with them. So I don't know. It's questionable. Speaking of brick though, we're changing gears to a different kind of brick. There's this device called the brick, and it's something that locks you out of your phone for a certain amount of time, whatever. But it's like a physical device. It's kind of like Apple Pay, where you have to like scan your phone onto the device. And I had been wanting one for a while. I finally bought one. They were on sale over the summer. I can't remember what the holiday was that they were on sale for. So I think I got it for like $40 or something, which is honestly crazy. I was kind of expecting to be really wowed by it. And truthfully, I haven't been particularly wowed by it. I wish that there was a way to set it on a schedule where it would like automatically brick at certain times and then automatically unbrick at certain times, but then it would re-brick. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, I am fine to be on my phone every day from 10 to 11 while I'm doing my walk, right? And then I just want it to automatically brick again. And then if I want to go manually unbrick it, I can. But the app, as of now, it can't even do that, which is crazy to me, because the brick itself, I'm sure, is like pennies on the dollar. So most of that money is going towards the app and also the marketing of the thing, which ironically, they actually sent me an email being like, hey, can we send you one of these so you can post about it to your audience? And I didn't email them back, although I will. But my answer was no, because I saw this video. I think her name was Bridget on a Budget. Shout out to her. She's Australian. That was cool too. And she was literally like, you guys, it's an NFC NFC. Is that the right word? I think so. NFC tag. That's literally what it is. There's this other app that is free that you can download called Focus, Focus. And you can use either an NFC tag to lock and unlock your phone that you can buy on Amazon for like $5 or less, or you can print out your own QR code from the app, and then you can use that to be able to get in and out of your apps. And so I really wish I had seen that video before I spent $40 on the actual brick, because was it worth it? No, it was not. And I don't even know if like having a physical thing, I think for me, because there is a physical thing that I have to go to do to unbrick it, I'm just less likely to brick it in the first place. So for my personality, it's not working great. But with the Focus app, where I just can, right now, I don't have it set up with an NFC tag or a QR code. I just have the app on my phone and I can just turn it off, on and off as I please. And again, this is all very new. I think I downloaded it like on Saturday. Because I can just like turn it on and off from my phone, I'm much more likely to turn it on, because I know I can just turn it off if I need to. But then I don't just like go to Instagram on accident, because that is something that I've noticed that I do a lot. I'm like walking up the stairs in my house and I'm like checking Instagram. That's embarrassing. Stop doing that, Hannah. So we're trying to break habits, but old habits die hard. And unfortunately, Instagram has been a habit of mine for a very long time. And the other thing that's tricky too is that I do like posting stories throughout the day, but even when I just get on really quick to like check something or post a story, then I end up getting distracted. So then I was like, oh, okay, well, what if I muted all the accounts that I follow so that I don't get distracted? Well, that wouldn't even work, because I don't even see the accounts I follow anymore, because Instagram changed their algorithm and they don't show you the content from the people they follow. They show you the content from the people that they think that you'll be interested in, which is probably people that you don't actually follow. And it's just like really annoying. I think everyone is kind of feeling particularly annoyed with social media right now, which is another reason why I'm really excited about making this year the year of the podcast, because I just love podcasts, and I love that I can feel productive while I'm listening to a podcast, because I can do any number of things while I'm listening to a podcast. I rarely feel productive when I'm scrolling social media. So I'm excited that the podcast is going places this year. Mark my words. Okay. All right. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is working out. Don't hang up yet. I promise it's not going to be crazy. But this is actually a response to my friend Janae, because she sent me a Marco Polo the other day and we were just talking about all kinds of random stuff. But one of the things she asked me, and I was like, oh, I actually haven't talked about that in a long time. And she even specifically said, she's like, you can talk about it on Instagram or on your podcast or whatever. I just want to know. So if you remember, like a little over a year ago, when was it? September of 2024, I started going to the gym. Dun, dun, dun. Specifically a CrossFit gym, only because it is ridiculously close to my house and by far the most convenient option. During my last pregnancy, I had actually gotten into kickboxing at a local kickboxing gym, and it was super fun. It was a little bit further away, but it was a little bit more expensive. But I had every plan to go back to that gym after the baby was born, and I had, given it a minute to kind of like ease into the whole 6 kids thing. I had every intention of going back to that gym, and lo and behold, they were literally just gone. Like I drove by it one day and the sign was gone and there was a new sign up, and it was like an injections GLP-1 clinic or something. And I was shocked and so sad because it was really, really fun. I really enjoyed kickboxing. It was called 9 Round. It's a franchise, I think. So I don't know, look for one in your area. Super fun. Anyway, at that point, I was like, okay, well, I know I want to do something, and that's no longer an option. So I can go to Avasa or whatever, like that, but it's going to be pretty far away. Or I could try giving CrossFit a try. It's obviously more expensive than Vasa, but it is much closer. It's literally 3 minutes from my house. And Steven has obviously been part of that community for years because he started going in 2020. And so I was like, I'll just try it for like a month. I think did I sign up for 3 months when I started? I don't remember. I just started for like as on a trial basis, I guess. And it was lucky because at the time, okay, well, the question that Janae asked was like, how have you made a habit of going to the gym? Because she's also an obliger like me. And so she said, she's like, I know that I want to go, but I just haven't been able to make it happen. So she said, how do you make it happen? So this is me answering that question. Basically, I knew that I wanted to gain strength because I was very weak after 6 pregnancies, and I knew that I wanted to be strong. That's something that I've wanted for a long time. And so I kind of always knew someday I would be consistent about building strength. And so the time was like, okay, he's old enough now. He's like a few months away from turning 1. I was about to wean him. And so I started going to the gym, and I think it was really lucky for me because although I wouldn't say I feel like totally, what is the word? I would say I feel part of the community, but I don't feel like, I don't really know how to describe it. But anyway, because Steven had been going for so long and like everybody knew Steven and had heard of me and like knew of me, I feel like people knew who I was right away. And so I kind of had, I almost feel like an obligation to Steven because he's gone for so long. I don't really have a great answer for you, Janae, but the one thing that I will say that I think is really maybe insightful, imagine that, it's that it's been really helpful to think of it as a skill building opportunity more than a workout exercise opportunity. And I would say this was even more true of kickboxing, because when I went to kickboxing, I didn't feel like, oh, I need to go work out. It was like, I'm going to go practice kickboxing. And while I do that, I'm going to exercise. And so that is a little bit the way that I like to think about it, as far as I'm developing a skill. And that is more easy to sell myself on than like, oh, I'm going to go do this really awful workout that is going to be really uncomfortable. The other thing I'll say too is that I am not competitive at all. And so I do not shy away from completely changing the workout to do whatever I want to do. I I follow the idea of what they prescribe for the workout. That's what they call it in CrossFit. Is that weird? Do other people call that prescribing? I don't know. But whatever they like, I will very much just do what I want. So like today, I'm trying to remember what today's workout was, but they had box jumps prescribed. I don't do box jumps. I do step ups. They had wall walks prescribed. I don't do wall walks. Okay. I'm going to rephrase that. I don't do wall walks yet. I am not in the place on my CrossFit journey where I am currently engaging in wall walks, but someday I will get there, hopefully in, maybe another 5 to 10 years. But not right now. And same with box jumps. Although I was thinking, I'm like, I could do a much smaller box. I'm really paranoid of pushing too hard, too fast and making things worse for myself, especially after having surgery, like not all that long ago. I had pelvic floor surgery. I had prolapse surgery, in case you're new and you don't know. I have a whole episode about it. You're welcome to go listen. Anyway, I am very much there for me. And even if that means I come 20 minutes late, which a lot of times I do, the class starts at 6:30. I'm usually there about 6:40, 6:45, which sometimes I would be so embarrassed about being late that I wouldn't go at all. And I decided that was silly because I'm going for me. And some gyms like have really strict rules about that kind of stuff. This one thankfully doesn't, which is good, because if it did, then I don't know if I would be a good member for that gym, or I would have to like find another option. But I just know that I'm there for me, and I count, like, if I am there and I move my body, that was enough. So I don't push myself super hard, which means I'm not making crazy gains. We'll say it that way. Am I stronger than I was when I started a little over a year ago? Yes. And can I feel that in my day to day? Absolutely. I mean, even the fact that I can just like stand up from sitting or like kneeling without having to put my hands down, like, that's huge. I could not do that when I started. So I think that would be my biggest tips, would be find something that feels like you're learning a new skill, and then find a group fitness class if you're an obliger like I am. Because if I was just going to a random like Vasa and I was just having to come up with my own, that's the other thing I really like too, is that the workout is already decided. I still cater it to myself, but I don't have to make any decisions of like what type of workout I'm going to do or the length of the workout or anything like that. I just go, they tell me the movements. I say, okay, I'm going to alter this one a little bit, alter that one a little bit. And then everybody does it at the same time. And that is a much better fit for me than if I was just like going to the gym by myself and like having to follow some workout plan online. I wouldn't be able to stick with it as much. So that is my rant on CrossFit. And I'm still by far the weakest person and the least in strength person in the class. Most of the people that go to this gym have been going for like at least 5 years. Like even Steven is on, is on the newer end of members for this gym. Well, I guess that's not exactly true, because there was actually another gym that combined with our gym. So some of them haven't been going to this particular gym for that long, but a lot of them have been doing CrossFit for like a decade. So it's pretty freaking intimidating, but I just try to like not care. And I honestly don't care that much. Like I said, I'm not very competitive, so it hasn't really been too bad. And yeah, I just figure if I keep going, it's going to be doing a heck of a lot more than if I wasn't going. And that is enough. That is enough for me. I am really hoping to get my pull-up this year. I had hoped to get it last year. You have no idea. Okay, I will just say, I had no idea how insane a pull-up is. People whip out pull-ups all the time like they're nothing. Doing a pull-up is really freaking hard, and you have to be really freaking strong to do a pull-up. And there are people, I mean, Steven can just like whip out 15 pull-ups like he's sleeping. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that people can do that, especially now that I tried for a year and couldn't do it. I feel like I had made decent progress. Like I still had a long way to go. Don't get me wrong. I still had a long way to go. But I was like, okay, I was seeing progress. And then I had my surgery, which had me out like down for the count for like 8 weeks. And let's just say we have not made much gains since then. So I am wanting to get myself in gear to be able to do a pull-up this year, because I think that would be really cool. And I would be very proud of myself to be able to do that. So hopefully I can make that work. I mean, by that, I just mean hopefully I can put in enough work to be able to do it, because I know it's possible for me. It's just a matter of building up the strength, which is really freaking hard. But hopefully this is the year, 2026, year of the podcast and the pull-up. Hey, that's like cute. They're both P words. All right. Lydia's texting me. I just looked at the school calendar and I found some things you might want to know about. She's sending me a picture. She's amazing. Everyone's going to say she's such an oldest daughter, and you're right. She is. It's true. Okay. I think that is most of what I have today. I know this is kind of a shorter episode, but it is late. I am tired. As I said last week, I was up past midnight every single night, and we're not doing that again this week. This week I am breaking my phone at 9:30. I am committing that to the world. Next week is a new week, so I'm not committing forever, but for this week at least, I am, because there were a couple of nights where I was just revenge scrolling, and I don't really know why. I think it's because I just feel like the days are just so chaotic, and I'm like trying to get so much done in between everything else. That was the other thing that's been tricky too. I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but I had a babysitter. I do think I did. Well, I guess I'll say it again. That was taking my two boys 1 to 2 mornings a week for me to have like some uninterrupted time. And she had a baby, which so happy for her. And so sad for me, because she was really, really crucial in me being able to get stuff done. And I think that's honestly what's the most difficult, I would say, about trying to do anything while you're also in charge of small children, being their caregiver, whatever you want to call it, is like, it's really hard to enter a flow state because you're just constantly being interrupted. And so you don't have enough time to like really get into the zone, which is like a real thing, by the way. I know we like say those words all the time, but actually, what book was that? I read a book recently that talked about this, and anyway, it's a real thing. The flow state is a thing. So I was having to do that, start getting into the flow state like after 9 p.m. because you guys, bedtime in our house, the bedtime routine, I swear to you, takes like an hour and a half. And I can't even complain because Steven does literally 95% of it. But it's looking rough these days. It's a little tricky too, because we do eat dinner pretty late, because I just cannot for the life of me get dinner on the table before Steven gets home from work. From Benchmark, I want to clarify, from his office. And anyway, so we eat dinner really late, and then we start rounding up the kids, getting them up to bed really late, and we don't even do bath time. As I already spoiler alerted earlier, we don't even give our kids a bath every night. And some people are over here giving their kids a bath every night. I'm like, wow, if we tried to do that, it would literally be a 3-hour bedtime. Like, what? That is bonkers to me, but happy for you. Happy for you that you can do that. Some people like look forward to it. That's a whole other thing I don't understand. So anyway, there was one more thing I was going to say, but now I can't remember what it was. Flow state, revenge scrolling. I don't know. This was a little bit of a back. This actually has nothing to do with anything I said. But when I mentioned Steven coming home from Benchmark, it reminded me that Benchmark is, again, the company that Steven owns. It's called Benchmark Body Metrics. And they just started offering blood testing. And I'm going in on Thursday to get my blood tested. And I'm actually really excited because I have never had my blood tested. I mean, that's probably not true. I know I've had it like tested during pregnancy, but nobody's ever like told me anything about my body based on my blood other than that I needed to have more iron, I guess. So I'll be really curious to see. And I'm, a little over 2 years out since I've had my last baby. And I'll be really curious to see like where all my levels are at, hormones and iron and just all the things. So I'm excited. It's on Thursday. And I will definitely report back about any interesting findings. Okay. I really think I am going to wrap up now. I'm having a bullet journal party today, the day that you're hearing this. It's tonight. So come Tuesday, what is the date? January 20th. If you're free, send me a DM. We're having a bullet journal party. My friend Krista is coming to teach us all the things about bullet journaling because I don't really understand it or know how it works, but she does. And so I've always wanted to learn. And I think there's still a couple spots because we ordered journals and I think we still have a couple of journals left. So if you want to come, text me or message me and please come. And I was about to end this like I did a talk in church, and that would be weird. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up and say, end rant.